Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hopefully, my mic is working and everything's good. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Monday, October the 6th. Lots of things to go over coming to this week. Just had some AMD news with OpenAI as well that's moving the market towards the upside. As you can currently see, the overall indices themselves, we are back at all-time highs here. So we'll keep that in mind coming into today. Most of these semiconductors here moving up very nicely coming to market open. So a lot of things to go over in today's pre-market prep. We'll take a look at some of the indices plus some of the semis here, and of course AMD here. Before we do that, what's up everyone? Good morning. Check out the chat. Everything's good. What's up everyone? Yeah, as always, I am currently on the East Coast, so at least for this week, the pre-market preps are going to start at 8:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. What's good everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, I'm just gonna get right into it. But yeah, let's go into the weekly outlook. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, let me just get right into the weekly outlook, what we're looking for coming to this week, and then we'll get straight into the charts here as well. So first things first, let's take a look at the key economic events here. So coming to this week, really, as you can see, what we have, red folder news Monday and Tuesday. We don't have anything, but Wednesday we do have FOMC minutes. That is going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As for Thursday, have some more red folder news here, unemployment, and of course we have Fed Chair Powell speaking. That's going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Friday, we have some more red folder news here. Of course, we have some numbers that are coming out. Most likely, they're not going to come out right. Last week, we had the government shutdown, so we didn't have any major labor reports this week. It looks like the same thing as well. So we will have consumer sentiment. That seems like the only thing that is going to come out. There might be some more information, but as for now, the only thing that we will have on Friday will be the prelim consumer sentiment. So that's what we have coming into today. Let's take a look, at least for the earnings calendar wise. Not too much is going on in the overall markets, but let's head straight into exactly what we're looking for coming into this week. As for my mic, should be fine. At least for this week, the mic it's a little bit further away, so just turn up the volume at least for this week, and it should be good. Okay. So first things first, this is the thesis for this coming week here on the ES daily time frame. Nice push towards all-time highs on the major indices. As you can see now, we're right at key levels, right at a key pivot level being your 6754. What I like to see moving forward is the reaction that we have off your previous all-time highs. This is the level that I'd like to see if the markets does want to move higher. So as you can see coming into today, the key levels that we have marked out, you can actually see the NQ is a lot more bullish than the ES just because we had that AMD news, and this one's already back at your all-time high. So if you go into the if we go into the ES, the key levels that I have marked out coming into today is going to be this 6750. So this is the level that I talked about here on the higher time frames. It's just your previous all-time highs. So if I zoom out just a little bit, you can see previous all-time highs here on the hourly chart. This is the exact level, right? Previous resistance, turn to support. You can see the buyers stepping in here, and now we're having this nice continuation higher. If I go back onto the lower time frames, coming into today, really the key levels that I have marked out. Number one, I'm going to mark out your previous day lows, 6750. Other levels I'm going to have marked out here now as well is going to be your 6780. And of course, I'm going to mark out here is your all-time highs, basically your 6800 here. So as you can see, coming into today here for the ES, we're getting some nice buyers stepping in off of your previous day lows. We're getting some buyers now stepping in off your 6780. The key thing here is going to primarily be the QQQ along with the SMH, just because we do have that AMD news. But at least for the ES coming to market open, what we like to see is a reaction that we have off of your 6780. This is going to be the level that we like to see hold coming to market open if we do want to see that push back up and towards our all-time highs. Another possible scenario here as well is going to be the break above your last week's high. So if you can break above this key level here as well, Also, another potential longing opportunity is going to be above your basically your 6,800 last week's high. So this is what we have coming into market open for the ES. We're going to take a look at the NQ along with the SMH here, but at least for the levels for the ES coming to market open, this is what we have currently. As for the SPY chart, the key levels that we have marked out, let me actually just mark out these ones. So key levels that we have is going to be your 670.50. Other levels that we can have marked out here as well is just going to be your last week's highs, which is your Friday's highs. So this is what we can have marked out. This is our key levels, at least for the SPY chart. You can see we're above key levels on the higher time frame, 677. We're above your Thursday's highs of last week's, which is your 670.50. So at least for the SPY coming to market open, similar thesis, what we like to see maintain above your 670.50 for continuation. Another possible scenario above your Friday's highs for this continued push towards the upside. So these are the major levels that we have for the ES, and along with the SPY coming into market open, it's just going to keep an eye out on your previous day highs, and of course we're going to keep an eye out on your 670.50. So that's what we have for the SPY coming into market open. You guys can just take a look at this here for a second before I head on to the NQ. Okay, now let's go into the NQ chart. So those are the levels that we have for the major indices. Let's take a look at the NQ here. So right now, you can see that NQ had a very nice push towards your all-time highs. Right now, we're at a key level on the chart, which is your 25,000. What I like to see coming to next week is the reaction that we have off of this key pivot level. So as you can see for the NQ, if I zoom out here on the hourly chart, this is the exact level that I kind of talked about here on the daily time frame, at least on the weekly outlook. You can see price kind of just came right back down into this key pivot. So right back in towards this down close candle. You can see buyers stepping in right here now as well. Of course, we did have some news this morning, which is pushing this back towards your all-time highs. But overall, NQ, very bullish here. As you can see, if you're comparing this to the ES, right, ES has not made a new all-time highs, whereas the NQ, we're actually above your all-time highs here in the pre-market. So coming to market open, really the key levels that I have drawn out is going to be your previous day highs along with their last week's highs. So we can just drag this out. You can see we have touches here, multiple touches. Now we just like to see this level be used as resistance, turned into support for this continued push back towards the upside. So this is what we have for the NQ coming to market open. We just recently made a brand new all-time highs in the pre-market, actually fairly recently. And now we just like to see it maintain above your 25,160 for this continued push towards the upside. So this is what we have for the NQ coming to market open, so we'll keep an eye out on that. As for the QQQ, fairly similar thing. The key levels that we can just have marked out here now is going to be your previous week's highs along with their Friday's highs here as well. So exact same thesis here for the for the QQQ, key levels that we have, previous day highs. So what we like to see coming to market open is markets really maintain above the 607. So at least for the NQ specifically, we had very bullish news. We're very bullish here on the SMH as well. We just like to see it maintain above your 607 for a continuation higher. This is the exact key level support as I mentioned, right? Resistance, now turn to support. 607 is going to be key. Could we potentially have a reversal off this level? Because this is always a possible scenario, right? This could also be in play as well if we break back underneath, if we break back underneath your 607. But overall, we had very bullish news. We'll take a look at that here in a second. I'd like to see this level be used as support, at least your 607, for this continued pushback towards the upside. So coming to market open, we have the key levels set out. We're bullish bias coming to today. We're looking for pullback longs on the overall markets for a continuation higher. So this is what I have for the major indices coming into today. Now let's take a look at some of the tech names. Let's actually take a look at this SMH first, and then we'll take a look at some of the tech names that we have coming into today. So first things first, let's take a look at the SMH. The SMH, if you guys don't already know, is the Semiconductor ETF. You can see this one recently broke outside of its daily consolidation, and now we're having an explosive move really towards the upside here. As you can see, once we got above that 300 key psych, really nice push towards the upside. This one's been just trending nicely. A lot of the semis, right? Nvidia all-time highs. Right, Intel had some nice news not too long ago. We just recently had, right, TSM, MU. All the semiconductors are moving up very nicely. Today, this morning, we'll take a look at AMD here in a second. Just had some news potentially with OpenAI, and this one's almost back at all-time highs. So take a look at AMD. Of course, AMD is going to be the main watch coming into today here as well. So at least for the SMH, key levels that we have marked out. We end up gapping up on Thursday, and then Friday some consolidation, but overall very bullish above your 333. And I can see here in the pre-market some more news as well driving this back towards the upside. So key levels coming to today here for the SMH is primarily going to be your previous day highs. And then we also have your Thursday's highs marked out. So very bullish here on the overall markets, right? Key levels that we have drawn out. As long as you maintain above your really 340 now, we can expect this to continue back towards the upside. So that's what we have for the SMH. We can also mark out some pre-market levels here as well. But now let's go on to some of the tech names. Let me grab some water here as well really quickly, and then we'll head on to Tesla and the rest of the names here. All right. Yeah, hope you guys are doing well as well. Good morning, everyone. If you guys are new to the stream, currently traveling, so I'm on my travel setup, but hopefully everything's running smoothly as of so far. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. And of course, if you guys haven't joined the daily watch list, that one is in the description below. Okay, let's go on to Tesla. So first things first, Tesla thesis right now, you can see that Tesla is finally pulling back here on the higher time frames. This is the first pullback right in towards a key level of support being your 420. This is where I'd also like to see buyers start stepping in for a move back in towards our all-time highs. So as you can see here for Tesla, this one's just coming right back down into my key level of support, which is our 420, right? This is kind of your first major level on the higher time frames. I personally like to see it maintain above this for this continued push back up and towards your 450 and above. Very similar to what it did last time. As you can see, really strong push up, right? You kind of based here, you had this nice bounce. This is something similar, but now we're going to be looking for a push eventually back up and towards our all-time highs. So as you can see here for Tesla coming into today, had some nice buyers stepping in here on the close on Friday. And of course, coming into today, a little bit of a gap up in the overall market. So really for me, at least, if we zoom out and look at this on an hourly time frame, for me, this is fairly bullish. As you can see, right, double bottom, bouncing. We had some news last week regarding delivery numbers. So a little bit of a pullback, which was expected after having a really big push higher. But this is really your first major dip here on the higher time frames. Now moving forward here on the hourly chart, key levels that we have is going to be your 630s along with your 645. So for Tesla, really, at least on the hourly time frame perspective, as long as you can maintain your 630, I expect continuation, or now it's really going to be above your 645 for this continued push higher here as well. So we'll keep an eye on these two scenarios. I actually personally like scenario number one. It's going to be that retest of your 630, just because it would create right higher lows kind of off key levels and still be fairly bullish for continuation higher. So if we go into the hourly chart, at least coming to today for me, I'm not expecting Tesla to head back towards all-time highs, right, in a very straight line. But I do like Tesla here on the higher time frames bouncing off this key level support. So key levels for me is now going to be your previous day close, 630. As I mentioned, another possible scenario, consolidation, break above your now previous day highs for a continuation here as well. So this is what we have on Tesla, right? Keep an eye out, as I mentioned, 630 for bounces off of now. It's going to be the higher low based off of Friday's price action. So keep an eye out on these two levels here for Tesla coming into today. Let's actually just take a look at Nvidia in the semis here first. Let's actually take a look at AMD. This is the one that we just recently had news. Let me actually just get rid of this. All right, so for AMD right now, you can see that AMD had a nice break towards the upside, ended up rejecting off 170 on Friday, and we filled the daily gap back towards the downside. What I like to see is if we can hold this breakout level for continuation back towards the highs. The key level on AMD moving forward is your 164. Of course, AMD had some news here in the pre-market technicals. Really doesn't matter too much, but AMD is super solid. I actually loaded up some shares a couple of weeks ago, which was nice. But higher lows being built, came down, retested really now your previous level of resistance, right? Turned into support, right? Technical breakout along with a news catalyst, which you can see, right, launching this towards upside. So let me actually just get rid of this here. We'll draw brand new levels here as well. But basically, AMD using this retest level, of course, now with news pushing up. This one very bullish. Seems like it's actually about to hit all-time highs here in the pre-market. So for AMD, key levels 227, which is your brand new all-time highs, and then we also have now we can mark out your 213. So for AMD coming to market open, really the levels that I have marked out is your all-time highs 227 is actually having a really solid push here in the last 20 minutes. Very nice push. All-time highs is in play, 227 coming into today. That's where a lot of people are going to look to take some minor profits off on AMD, just because if you now look at this on the weekly time frame, right, we're gonna have a huge gap in the overall market. So for AMD, right, nice kind of push towards the upside, right, all-time highs 227. We're gonna have this pretty big gap here. So some profits I do expect to be taken off at this all-time highs level. Besides that, for AMD continuation now, it's going to look a little bit interesting here on the daily time frame. It's primarily going to be a gap and go. I don't expect it to come back down and reverse, but now it's going to be the gap and go, and we like to see a gap above your previous all-time highs, hold above that level for this continuation higher. So at least for the hourly chart and everything else, at least coming to market open, AMD is going to be one of our main watches, at least for today. The key levels that we can have marked out, let's just draw this out. We can draw out our 213 along with now our previous all-time highs. So for AMD coming to market open, what we have here is going to be our previous all-time highs, as I mentioned, 227, and we also have our 213. So if we can get a potential kind of dip and rip, that's going to look solid for this continued push towards all-time highs, at least for a day trade. Another possible scenario, break above your all-time highs for this continued push towards upside. This is also a possible scenario. I don't like this one as much. Whenever you have bullish news, you want to see the dip and rip. You don't really want to see a pop higher and then you want to chase price, right? Because IV is going to be super high, elevated. You want to see a dip, right? AMD is up 34% here, very big here in the pre-market. If you want to go long coming to market open, we like to see a pullback long, at least a dip and rip right off the open for a push towards your all-time highs, which is a very clear objective, right? All-time highs is going to get hit. 227.34. So if you're trying to go long, right, potential pullback down in towards your 212, that would be nice, which is a higher time frame key level. If not, we're going to base it off of intraday price action, and we're going to be looking for, right, the main objective in this case, as I mentioned, which is your 227, your all-time high. So AMD is going to be our main watch coming into today. These are the levels I have marked out, 213. I personally don't think it potentially could come down to the 213 right off the bat. If it does, right, we'll look for buyers to step in. For something like AMD, right, it has nothing to do with technicals. We have our levels marked out, but as I always mentioned, right, technicals is trumped by news, right? News matters more. In this case, very bullish here. I expect AMD to just move higher right off the bat until we at least hit your all-time highs objective, which is your 227.34 here on the higher time frame. So that's what we have coming to market open. Let's take a look at Nvidia here. So as for Nvidia, right now, you can see that Nvidia finally broke above the all-time highs. We had a nice break and retest above the 184. Now that we are above that level, I'd like to see 184 hold for this continued push higher. So for Nvidia, Let's take a look at here on the daily time frame. So we talked about this last week. Nvidia is actually dropping here just because the rumors were with Nvidia for the OpenAI. This one's dropping just a little bit now, coming right back down in towards our key retest level. So for Nvidia, really this is the exact level I like to see hold 184 here on the higher time frame. So we had some news with OpenAI, with AMD, kind of affecting Nvidia here just a little bit. I would be cautious coming into today, right? Focus on the leaders of the market now. So for Nvidia, really this is the exact level I'd like to see hold 184, previous all-time highs if we still want to see continuation. But for Nvidia, I'll be a little bit more cautious on this ticker, but we'll keep an eye out on your 184. So 184 is going to be key for buyers to step in. And then if you do want to see upside, right, 184 bounce, or now, as I mentioned, it's going to be the break back above. In this case, it's going to be your 188. If you can break back above your 188, this is also a possible scenario for this continued push higher. But really not too much to talk about on AMD coming to today. It's retesting higher time frame key levels. But as you can see, where we had some news with AMD, which is dropping this in the pre-market. So we'll focus on the leaders, which is primarily AMD and some other semiconductors coming into today. As for Apple, thesis coming to this week, Apple, right now you can see that Apple just hit the all-time highs. What I like to see is the reaction that we have off your 258. I do expect some reaction off of this level and some profit taking, but we'll keep an eye out on this one for a push towards your all-time highs. We actually hit your all-time highs last Friday, finally. Okay. For AMD, for Apple, as you can see, the key levels that we have marked out. If you go into the weekly time frame, another chart that recently now just hit your all-time highs. So if we do want to see continuation right above your all-time highs, 258 for this continued push towards the upside. So for Apple, let's go into lower time frames here. Let's actually just go into the hourly chart. So the key levels that we have marked out, as I mentioned in this case, is your 258. So you can see kind of multiple reactions that we have off your 258. We've been consolidating in this general area for, I'd consider the past kind of 2 weeks here, slowly gravitating higher, right? Of course, building up these higher lows. But now for Apple, if we do want to see that breakout here on the higher time frames, it's going to be the break above your 258, hold above your 258 for this continued push towards upside. So this is what I have here for Apple coming into market open. Break above your 258 all-time highs, hold above your all-time highs for this continuation higher. Of course, another possible scenario is if we end up kind of rejecting off your all-time highs, we could just come right back down in towards this range. So previous all-time highs, keep an eye out on this one, 259 here on Apple. As for some other tickers here as well, if you guys do have now any tickers you'd like me to go over, I'll go over them for the next probably like 5 to 10 minutes. I'll keep it nice and short just because I do have to get ready for market open here. But if you guys do have any tickers, I'll go over some. Or if you guys want me to go over any charts in specific, you guys can drop them in the chat now. As for other tickers, I'll kind of quickly go over what I'm looking for. But yeah, as for the rest of the tickers, not really too much. Primarily the semiconductors, as I mentioned, semis starting to heat back up, right, with the SMH moving higher. Nvidia and AMD were lagging behind compared to the rest of the semiconductors. We had, right, SMH basically at all-time highs. Nvidia was consolidating for a few months, right? AMD, similar thing, but now AMD back at all-time highs, Nvidia back at all-time highs. We have MU, TSM, those ones are moving nicely. Intel, we had some news a couple weeks ago that's pushing up. So semis are going to be the main focus, primarily any semiconductor that we do have. Those are the ones that are moving the nicest here in the past couple of weeks. And we're just going to continue to focus here in on that sector as long as we have clear higher time frame objectives. Okay. Let me go over a few other names here, and then I will go over my game plan once more, and then I'll call it a day. So first things first, let's check this out. Hope you guys are doing well here as well. Let me go over Palantir. So Palantir actually had a pretty big pullback here pretty big pullback here on Friday. The key objectives that we had was your all-time highs that we wanted to see the markets gravitate towards. We had some news kind of pulling this back. Now we are coming back down into key levels of support. So for Palantir, I'm still fairly bullish, right? Higher lows are being built. As long as you can maintain above your 168, I like to see this continue push back towards the upside. So for Palantir, coming into market open, the key levels that I do have marked out is your 170 here. So we have a few ones, right? 170. And we also have your 177. So for Palantir, really now what I like to see, reclaim back above your 177 for this push higher. Another possible scenario, reclaim back above your 182 for this continued push higher, or if price comes all the way back down 172, I like to see this kind of double bottom be formed here on the higher time frames. But with Palantir, some news on Friday and a pretty big pullback here. I'd be a little bit more cautious. I do expect a couple inside bar days and some more consolidation now here on Palantir. As for Hood, this one pushing up nicely, reusing key levels, right? Previous old highs for continuation higher. Hood's been an absolute animal. Every single dip has gone bought up. We're at all-time highs, right? This one moving up nicely. Key levels that we are going to have marked out here now is just going to be your previous day highs, 150. So key level for Hood, 150 key psych level. Crazy how Hood's already at 150 now. But for Hood, higher time frames, previous day highs, have this level marked out. You can see some already buyers stepping in the pre-market. And then now you just like to see, right, previous day highs be defended on Hood if we do want to see any sort of continued pushback towards the upside. So this is what we have, 150. We like to just see it maintain above 150 if we want to see this push back towards the upside. So that's what we have for this ticker. Keep an eye out on that. As for your previous day highs, right, most of your names, you're going to keep an eye out on your previous day highs here. So for even Intel, right, super solid, right, we had some news, more news, right, kind of base. And now you can see every single old high is now being used as continuation towards upside. So you can see at least on the hourly chart, nice kind of base, pull back right in towards key levels, Intel moving up nicely. If you go on to the 15-minute chart, let's take a look at this one. So you can see it came right back down in towards our key level, which in this case is our 3620. You can see buyers are stepping in right off this level, at least for Intel now. Key levels that I have marked out intraday is going to be your 3620, and we also have your 3650. So key levels for me, as long as you can maintain above your 3750, continuation towards upside. Another possible scenario here as well is now going to be the break above your all-time, sorry, not your all-time highs. It's going to be the break above your Friday's highs, 38 key psych level for this potential pushback towards the upside. And of course, another possible scenario, if it came all the way back down in towards that 3620, that could be the key level we're keeping an eye on here as well. Okay, let me go over a couple more. TSM, I'll just go over primarily the semiconductors because that's what we're most likely going to focus in on today. Right, all these semiconductors with SMH gapping up here, fairly bullish, at least for TSM. We're at all-time high, so if you're interested in TSM, this one looks like a good setup here as well. Break above your previous day highs, which we already did. Now you like to see the retest of your previous day highs here on TSM. 296 is going to be key for a potential pullback long. As for MU, another one that's at all-time highs, really nice push here on MU. This one, if you look at this on the daily time frame, it is getting fairly overextended, but daily time frame, once we finally broke above, right, nice push back up and towards our all-time highs, right, nice kind of retest right off this key pivot level, and now we've been having a very solid push higher. So for for MU, key levels that we're just gonna have drawn out now, we're going to keep an eye out on your previous day highs here, which is going to be your 190 key psych. I'll be a little bit cautious on this one. You primarily be looking for a dip and rip, but key levels that you're going to have marked out, 192 previous day highs. If you can pull back all the way back down in towards this key level, it would be a fairly steep pullback, but you can keep an eye out on MU or some consolidation, kind of continue push back towards the upside here as well. So that's what I have coming into today here on the major indices. I'm going to go over my game plan once more, and then I'm going to get ready for market open here. But basically, the game plan today here is focusing in on the NASDAQ along with the SMH. As for the SPY, I'm not too interested in taking a look at the SPY here, just because we have a lot of news on the semis, plus that's really what's moving the market back towards the upside here. As for the SPY, keep in mind, right, your 670.50, and of course, right, your previous day highs here as well, 672.50, which are going to be the key levels. As for the QQQ coming to market open, Let's keep an eye out on your previous day highs along with this higher time frame key level. In this case, it's your 607. If you can maintain above your 607, that's going to be key here for this continue push back up and towards your 609. If we break underneath your 607.50, a potential reversal is in play here on the higher time frames. But as I mentioned, we'll keep an eye out on your previous day high 607.50. That's where I'd like to see the buyers step in. Of course, SMH very bullish, or you're above your previous day highs. Okay. As for my main watches coming to today, we'll keep an eye out on AMD. AMD, we have room towards our all-time highs. We just had news here as well. We'll let it breathe right off the bat. We're not going to be too aggressive just because we are very close towards our all-time highs. But if we can't have any sort of pullback, I'm interested in a pullback long right off the bat for this continued push back up and towards our all-time highs. So keep an eye out on that first dip here on AMD. If you've ever traded after news, right, you have bullish news, market's about to open, keep an eye on that first pullback, essentially IV flush for that push up and towards your all-time highs. If AMD, which most likely it will hit your all-time highs here in the pre-market, once it hits your all-time highs, if it does here in the pre-market, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious and I'll wait for most likely the first 15 to 30 minutes to play out. So if it doesn't hit your all-time highs, we can be aggressive and look for a push towards your all-time highs. If we hit your all-time highs, then we're going to chill out and we're going to wait for that first 15 to 30 minutes to develop, because I do expect some profit taking around this all-time highs level, 227. At least that's going to be the key level for me. So we'll keep an eye on AMD coming to market open. As for Nvidia, this one in my opinion still fairly bullish. Of course, now it's dropping here in the pre-market with that AMD news, but we'll keep an eye out on this 184. That's going to be key here if you want to see any sort of continued push higher, but we'll keep an eye on AMD first. As for Tesla, I do like this one a lot. Higher time frames looks really good. At least the key levels for me is going to be your 430 along with your 445. I personally would like to see the dip all the way back down in towards that 430, right? Higher lows be built off your 420 and continue higher, or as I mentioned, above your previous day highs, 445 for this continued push towards upside. And then for the rest of the tickers, Apple, keep an eye out on this 259. And then some other names I'm interested in is Hood, retested for 150. And then we'll keep an eye out on, right, the rest of the semiconductors here as well, which will be TSM, previous day high retest, and then MU, if it could come all the way back down, which would be your 192. At least for the rest of the tickers, keep an eye out on your previous day highs. Those are the key levels that you should have marked out. Key levels today, as I mentioned, is going to be that previous day highs here on QQQ that we would like to see hold. But yeah, that is going to be it for me today. It's already 8:50, so I am going to get ready for market open. Some bookkeeping items, at least for this week. As I mentioned, I am on my travel setup, so the pre-market preps will start at 8:15 for at least this week, and then it'll go back to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for next week. As for everything else, I think that's about it. So yeah, I think that's everything else. But I'm going to get ready for market open here now. If you guys did enjoy that, I'd appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the daily watch list as well, that of course is in the description below. And then with that being said, hope you guys did enjoy that. And I will see you guys all tomorrow morning. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.